So welcome to the WBE Citizen Advisory Committee. Today on January 25th, 2022 at 4 p.m. I'm going to read a statement for us. Due to the Safer at Home order issued by Governor Cooper, members of the WBE Citizen Advisory Committee are participating virtually. All members will vote by roll call. A member will be recognized, at which time the member will state his or her vote. So I'll turn it over to Kira for our roll call.
So good afternoon, everyone. I will call the roll for our MWBE Citizens Advisory Committee meeting being held today, January 25th, 2022 at 4 o'clock. Vice Chair Leah Metz.
Present.
Committee Member Cassandra Brunson.
Present.
Committee Member Drew Gertzmeyer. Committee Member Cornelius Graves. Committee Member Jordan Gwynn.
Present.
Committee Member Stephen Hemrick. And Committee Member Ethel Witt. Addition to the committee, we have city staff on the call. We have Kim Millett, the Director of the Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement. We have Hannah Hernandez, and we have our new MWBE staff member, Zachary Taylor, joining us this afternoon as well. And we also have Katie Gore with the marketing department. And I'll turn it back over to you, Leah.
Great, thanks. Yeah, welcome, Zachary. So if we can do a motion to approve the agenda as well as the last meeting minutes all in one. Do we have a motion to approve?
Vice Chair Metz, we currently can only conduct
that's right.
as the information only meeting because we don't have a quorum present.
That's right. Okay, never mind that one. Well, then I will turn it back over to you for the Holden building construction good faith effort.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen here. Begin recording.
Recording in progress.
So we're going to review the good faith effort submitted for the Fire Station 3 replacement project. Holden Building Company was the second apparent low bidder. As the committee is aware, we reviewed the lowest apparent bidder's good faith effort, but their good faith effort was found to be insufficient. So now we're going to review the next apparent low bidder. Can everyone see my screen okay? So the goals for the project were 11% with minority-owned firms and 6% with women-owned firms. Holden Building Company submitted goals of 5.6 M and 2% W. So we'll move on to letter A. Did a representative of your company attend the pre-solicitation or pre-bid meeting scheduled by the city to inform MWBE firms of contracting, subcontracting, and supply opportunities, and to review contractor requirements of complying with the program? So Holden Building Company did attend the pre-bid scheduled by the city on November the 23rd. Any questions for letter A? Next is letter B. Did your company advertise in general circulation, trade association, or minority-focused media concerning subcontracting opportunities? The contractor must advertise in all three mediums to receive full value for this item. And they did provide evidence of advertising in all three. They included evidence for the Winston-Salem Journal, and that's the first one that you see here. And they also included minority-focused media for the Hispanic Contractors Association, where they requested for their invitation to bid to be posted with them. And then they also included a trade association, which is Dodge Construction Network, and they included a screenshot of that as well. Any questions for letter B? We'll move on to letter C. Did your company provide written notice to a reasonable number of specific MWBE firms that their interest in the contract is being solicited at least 10 days before bids are due to allow MWBE firms time to participate? They must provide a copy of the advertisement sent to at least 3 or more firms on their source list, and each solicitation should include a specific description of the work to be subcontracted, including a location where bids documents can be reviewed, a name of the representative of the prime bidder to contact, and a location, date, and time of when they should submit their quotes. And so Holden did provide an extensive list of firms that they contacted. This is just a couple of screenshots, but they had at least 10 pages of firms broken out by their trades. And it also indicates how they were contacted and if they opened up the initial request for quote that they sent to them. And so I'll go to the next page, which has a copy of their invitation to bid. So it has who to contact, the telephone number of the estimator, along with all the additional details. They have some buttons up here that the subcontractor could select if they were intending to bid on the project, along with where they could view the project details and things of that nature. Any questions for letter C?
A question on the previous page. So I'm also trying to pull this up. Does that have it marked that they're MWB? I guess I can't tell how I would know.
It has bidders by trade, and up here in the left-hand corner,
By hub. Okay.
it says hub, yes.
Okay, cool.
And these were sent out on November 17th, and bids were due on December the 7th. So it meets the 10-day requirement. Any additional questions for letter C? Move on to letter D. Did you follow up on the initial solicitation of interest by contacting MWBE firms to determine with certainty whether the MWBE firms are interested? Please include a telephone log of follow-up calls that they made to confirm interest, but the committee has accepted email follow-up as well. And again, this is just a couple of screenshots of their follow-up to contact the firms to see if they were intending to bid with them or not. And they have some notes here, you know, if they spoke with the contact of the firm, if it was out of service, or if they intended to bid as well. So that's what all of the writing here indicates. Are there any questions for letter D? My apologies. Okay, move on to letter E. How did your company identify and select portions of the work to be performed by MWBE firms in order to increase the likelihood of MWBE firms' participation, including where appropriate, breaking down contracts into economically feasible units to facilitate MWBE participation, and they are required to submit evidence where this information was included. And this screenshot is from their invitation to bid, where it breaks down the work into feasible units. Any questions for letter E? Letter F, explain how you provided interested MWBE firms with equal access to specifications. plans and requirements of the contract. Here are two screenshots from their invitation to bid. It has a link as to where the firms can visit to view the plans, or they offer viewing the plans at their office. Additionally, they have a link that the firms could click on here, again, to view the project specs and details. Any questions for letter F? Okay. Letter G, how have you negotiated fairly with interested MWBE firms, not rejecting MWBEs as unqualified without sound reason based upon a thorough investigation of their capabilities? This is where the contractor is required to provide a subcontractor quote comparison form, comparing the quotes of MWBE firms to non-MWBEs, and also providing documentation detailing the reasons for rejecting any MWBE firms as unqualified. And they also are required to provide copies of the quotes received from all firms. So let me know if you need me to zoom in on any of this information, but let's see. But they did provide a copy of their quote comparison form with the non-MWBEs and MWBEs for each trade. And they indicated whether or not the MWBE firms or non-MWBEs were the low bidder for that specific trade. So this is for termite. They have for termite treatment, asphalt paving, fencing, landscaping, and demo on this first selection. And then if we go over, they have the additional trades.
Shakira,
Yes.
real quick, will you go back over to the first page? And do we know if, for instance, under the termite treatment, if they used arrow exterminators?
They did use them for their contribution to the WBE firms.
Okay, and same with asphalt.
Correct.
Okay.
Yakin Valley is listed.
Yakin Valley, yeah. Okay. Okay, that answered my question. I wasn't sure which ones they don't have a column, do they, that says, yes, we use this one or that one?
Not for asphalt paving, but they did indicate that for termite treatment.
Oh, low and listed to use. Okay, yeah. All right.
And then if you want to.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's what
Sorry.
that is. No, that's okay.
Okay.
That answers it. Thank you.
And then this is the third screenshot of the last firms and the trades broken out. Are there any questions for letter G? Okay. Move on to letter H. What services were used from the City of Winston-Salem's MWBE office? Available minority community organizations, minority contractors groups, local, state, and federal minority business assistant offices, and other organizations that provide assistance in the recruitment and placement of MWBE firms. The contractor is required to provide a copy of documentation, and they must utilize at least two agencies to receive full value. They provided a screenshot of where they contacted me to receive a list of MWBE firms. And they only included this one documentation. Any questions for letter H? Right. Letter I, how did your company provide assistance to an otherwise qualified minority firms in need of equipment, loan capital, lines of credit, or joint pay agreements to secure loans, supplies, or lines of credit, including waiving credit that is ordinarily required? Did your company assist minority firms in obtaining the same unit pricing with the bidder's suppliers in order to help minority firms establishing credit? The contractor is required to provide a copy of documentation It can be included in their letter to for the invitation to bid, and or evidence of implementation from a previous project in the past 5 years, advising MWBE firms on what type of assistance was available. The contractor can receive up to 10 points for offering and 10 points for implementation. In their invitation to bid, they did include a statement that says if you need assistance obtaining the required bonding, loan capital, lines of credit, licenses, and joint pay agreements or insurance, please contact them. They did not provide any evidence of implementation from projects from the previous or past 5 years. Any questions for letter I? Letter J, how did your company provide assistance in obtaining required bonding or insurance or providing alternatives to bonding or insurance for subcontractors? The contractor is required to provide a copy of any documentation and or evidence of implementation from previous projects in the past 5 years, advising MWBE firms on what type of assistance was available. The contractor can receive up to 10 points for offering and 15 points for implementation. Again, from the last screenshot, they included that same statement in their invitation to bid that states if you need assistance obtaining the required bonding, loan capital, lines of credit, licenses, joint pay agreements, or insurance, please contact them. But they did not provide any evidence of implementation. Any questions for letter J? Letter K, did your company negotiate a joint venture or partnership arrangement with minority firms to increase opportunities for minority participation when possible? The contractor did not provide any documentation to receive points for letter K. The last letter, letter L. Did your company provide quick pay agreements and policies to enable minority contractors and suppliers to meet cash flow demands? What procedures were initiated to fulfill this requirement? And how were the MWBE firms informed of this assistance? Evidence of implementation from previous projects in the past 5 years can be submitted. The contractor will receive up to 5 points for offering and 10 points for implementation. So in their invitation to bid, they did state that Holden Building Company will pay twice monthly on submission of a qualified invoice. They also included an example of a quick pay agreement, what that would look like with an MWBE firm. And they also provided a copy of a previous project with Covenant Enterprise Painting from July 30th of 2020. So the firm was requesting payment, and I'll zoom in here. And on July 31st, the company cut a check per their request. And just a close-up of that invoice that was sent to the contractor. Any questions for letter L? So I'll stop sharing my screen here. If you all don't have any additional questions for me, I'll let Mr. Holden join the meeting. Good afternoon, Mr. Holden. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. Good
So,
afternoon.
good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. So the committee has reviewed the good faith effort submitted by your company. And I'll give you the opportunity to add any additional context if you'd like, or we can move on to the questions if any of the committee members have any.
I'm happy to take questions. We try to do what we can, and hopefully, unfortunately, we didn't hit our goals, but we continue to try. But yeah, have any questions you have, please feel free.
Does any of the committee members have any questions for Mr. Holden?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Holden.
Hello.
Letter H reads, do you have it or do I need to read it?
I have it. I have it.
Okay, good. Would you like to, we noticed that you did provide one documentation of an agency, and I think that was with Shakira with the city of Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to provide an explanation about why there wasn't two agencies listed?
I don't know why there wouldn't. So I think we contacted the Hispanic group trade, I don't know how, organization, and I don't really know. I guess I need to know where else I could reach out to, I guess. We try to keep in contact with others, if like for the city of Greensboro, or I guess those other organizations. But I don't know if this one I don't know. Oh, I see. We're supposed to contact at least two. I don't know. I guess.
Well, that's fair. That's a fair answer. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and maybe the next time when you are reaching out to Jakira, she's a wealth of resources. Actually, I would like to lean on her now. Jakira, can you think of like one or two others that we can give him? I don't know, would K-Pasa be one of the ones?
Yes, what I'll do, Mr. Holden, I can send you a list of organizations that you can reach out to, but yes, he could advertise in K-Pasa.
Yeah,
There's some other minority focused groups, contractors groups that he can reach out to.
Okay. And then just to get rid of me, I had one more question, and then I am out of your hair.
Okay.
Letter K, we did not receive any documentation on that, and I just wanted to see if you had, or know if you had, and like to give an explanation for that one.
Well, and we have actually talked to, and it's probably past the time. We have talked to others with joint ventures, but because I think it says within the last few years or something like that, and it was probably 10 years ago. But in terms of individual projects, a joint venture takes a pretty long time. I mean, there's talking to bonding companies and gathering financials and creating a company. We are willing to do it. I guess it's just hard to do for one particular project. It's a long time to set up, and I guess we are unable to select that because unless we have something in the works, it's just not something we have going on right now. But willing, I mean, it's
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your explanation.
Okay, no problem.
And that's all for me.
Hey there, this is Leah.
Aye.
On I and J, which both are working with MWBE organizations, you have on there the offering of it, but we don't see any evidence of implementation. And so just wondering, is that something, to your point, in the past couple of years that you have worked with MWBEs for doing lines of credit or joint pay agreements, and maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we 100%, if they need it, we will provide it. There has not been one time that I've been asked for a loan from a company to do that. So, and I've never declined anyone because of their lack of credit. So we always provide them with a line of credit per se. Joint pay agreements, whenever it's required. I guess over the past several, I mean, I don't remember the last time with an MWBE contract that we've had to pay joint agreements. We're happy to do so. We do it all the time, and we'd like to do it. But if they don't need it, they don't ask for it, and we don't have to do it. Yeah, I guess that sort of answers it. I guess we just haven't had the opportunity to provide that for anyone.
Okay, so
I guess it's a good thing.
so it just, to me, it sounds like it's just not being asked for.
Correct.
Is what it is. Okay, and is that the same with the obtaining bonding or insurance and helping MWBs?
Yeah, we would never, I've not had one time where bonding has come into a situation. We don't require our subs or suppliers to have to be bonded typically, because it does sort of take away from who we can offer contracts to. But we do not require that. We do require everyone to have insurance, but it's never been asked that we decline, waive that. And if we were, we would find a way to help them get some insurance, and in extreme cases, we're allowed to provide that and help them with the insurance. It just hasn't been something we've had to choose to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mr. Holden. This is Jordan Gwen. No questions for me. I just wanted to commend you on putting together such an easy to follow and complete package of documentation supporting your good faith effort. It was one of the better documented that I've seen, at least in the last few months. So really appreciate that.
I'm glad.
I agree.
Jakira does a good job of giving us a good example. We just follow it. But thank you. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments for Mr. Holden? Seeing that there are none, thank you for joining us this afternoon, Mr. Holden, and I will follow up with you in the upcoming days.
Okay. Well, thank you, and feel free to reach out if there are further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Does the committee have any additional questions for me?
Yes. Sorry, y'all. This is the first time I've wanted to change my score when implementation wasn't proven based on his responses. For instance, Leah's I and K, I and J, something like that.
Yep, I and J.
So, right. So, I mean, what do y'all think about that? Like, implementation wasn't proof, but if he said he didn't have an opportunity, I feel like he should get the points.
Yeah, what I don't know though is what is the root of them not, of MWBs not asking. I don't know where
Yeah,
that,
we won't know that.
I don't know where.
Where that disconnect is. Well, one thing, if he advertised a little more, he might get more of them who may need the help in those areas. So we could look at it like that. But also the ones that I asked him about,
Would you like me to
the
pull it
one that
up?
he got the 0. No, I got it on the other screen. K.
I think her
Is
connection
Cassandra free?
went out. Yeah, I think she did freeze.
Well, with joint ventures, though, Jakira, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are very, very rare, right? I mean, it's not typical we see those sort of things on a one-off project basis. Is that right?
That's correct. Our typical projects are a single prime bid, so it essentially doesn't really allow for a joint venture to occur. We do have a construction manager at risk project that is a joint venture, but typically these smaller single prime bid projects, you will not typically see a joint venture with these types of projects.
Okay. And to Cassandra's earlier question, I think she was getting at just in terms of the ratings where there is evidence of offer but not implementation. I mean, not today per se, but in the past, my personal judgment, I have in some cases increased scores based on the conversations and dialogues that we've had with contractors during the current question and answer portion. So, I mean, that's just me personally. I tend to trust someone at their word until they prove me otherwise. But like I said, not necessarily today, but in the past, I have adjusted scores, not necessarily based on what information they submitted, but based on conversations that we've had via follow-up Q&A.
Right, Jordan, thank you. I only caught the last end of that because I froze on my computer and it kicked me out, and then I had to come back on my phone. But I think what you were saying is that you've been in that situation, maybe not this one, and you have increased scores based on the responses they've given you. And
Yeah.
then a clarification would be, even if in these cases implementation had not been proven.
Proven by way of documentation that we have seen. I think,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If that's the definition of proven, then yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I missed any comments from anyone else, because like I said, I was kicked out for a minute.
We talked a little bit about joint ventures, which I think is letter K, which they didn't claim any points for, but Jakira was helping us understand that on these single projects or these individual projects that are single prime bidders, those type of occurrences are rare, but that they do have one going on right now.
Okay. I think that will help me with finalizing my scoring. Yeah. Thank you all.
Or is there any additional questions or comments for the good faith effort? All right. So please submit your scores by 5 o'clock tomorrow. And if you have any additional questions after this meeting ends, feel free to contact me. And with that being said, I hope you all have a great evening.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.